Hi, today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. This article is from AP, the famous news agency, and it appeared on Yahoo News. And the title is The Latest. Trump sues BBC for defamation, asks for $10 billion in damages over January 6th speech edit. The Associated Press, Monday, December 15th. Wow, that's a lot of money, man. Hey, Trump, you are asking for a lot of money, man. President Donald Trump talks to reporters as he arrives on the south lawn of the White House Saturday, right, December 13th, 2025, after attending the Army-Navy game. As he arrives, so he is missing before arrives. President Donald Trump filed a lawsuit Monday seeking $10 billion in damages from the BBC, accusing the British broadcaster of defamation as well as deceptive and unfair trade practices. The lawsuit accuses the BBC of broadcasting a false, defamatory, deceptive, disparaging, inflammatory, and malicious depiction of President Trump, calling it a brazen attempt to interfere in and influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. A brazen attempt. It accused the BBC of splicing together two entirely separate parts of President Trump's speech on January 6, 2021, in order to intentionally misrepresent the meaning of what President Trump said. The BBC apologized last month to Trump over the edit of his speech, but said it had not defamed him. The speech took place before some of Trump's supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress was poised to certify President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election that Trump falsely alleged was stolen from him. Here's the latest. What BBC broadcast is Trump suing over? The BBC had broadcast an hour-long documentary titled Trump, A Second Chance, days before the 2024 U.S. presidential election. It included parts of his January 6, 2021 speech, which took place before some of Trump's supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress was poised to certify President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election that Trump falsely alleged was stolen from him. The BBC spliced together three quotes from two sections of the speech, delivered almost an hour apart, into what appeared to be one quote in which Trump urged supporters to march with him and fight like hell. Among the parts cut out was a section where Trump said he wanted the supporters to demonstrate peacefully. The BBC did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Associated Press. Request for comment, right? It's a singular. I didn't know it was a singular. Request for comment. Trump sues BBC for $10 billion, accusing it of defamation over editing of his January 6th speech. Trump filed a lawsuit Monday seeking $10 billion in damages from the BBC, accusing the British broadcaster of defamation as well as deceptive and unfair trade practices. Unfair trade practices by BBC. The lawsuit accuses the BBC of broadcasting a false, defamatory, deceptive, disparaging, inflammatory, and malicious depiction of President Trump, calling it a brazen attempt to interfere in and influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. It accused the BBC of splicing together two entirely separate parts of President Trump's speech on January 6, 2021, in order to intentionally misrepresent the meaning of what President Trump said. Abrego Garcia is still hoping to find justice after his wrongful deportation, his lawyer says. Kilma Abrego Garcia was an activist, and he didn't choose to become locked into what has become one of the most contentious immigration issues of the Trump administration, his lawyer said, Associated Press. But as he experiences some of the few days he's had with his family since being sent erroneously to an El Salvador prison in March, his lawyer said he's still hoping for a just resolution to his case. He's been through a lot and he's still fighting, said his lawyer Simon Sandoval Moshenberg during an interview with AP following Abrego Garcia's court-ordered release from detention last week. What it is he can fight for is circumscribed by the law and the greatest power of the United States government, but he is still fighting. Abrego Garcia's mistaken deportation to El Salvador helped galvanize opposition to Trump's immigration policies. He was held in a notoriously brutal prison there despite having no criminal record. Wow. So it's a mix-up of two articles, right? Senator Mark Kelly's attorney warns Trump administration of dangerous overreach. The attorney's letter comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered a review of the Democratic senator who was among a group of lawmakers in the video calling on military personnel to defy illegal orders. Wow, this article is really mixed up, right? Wow, this is terrible, man. AP and Yahoo, what is going on? There is no legitimate basis for any type of a proceeding against Senator Kelly, and any such effort could be unconstitutional and an extraordinary abuse of power, wrote Paul J. Fishman in the letter to John Fallon. Trump himself had lashed out at the lawmakers, who all have military backgrounds after years of service. Kelly's attorney warned of legal action if the department sought to pursue the senator in any forum, criminal, disciplinary, or administrative. Fisherman wrote they would take all appropriate legal action on Senator Kelly's behalf to hold the administration's unprecedented never before, right? Unprecedented and dangerous overreach. A Secret Service official says ballroom construction doesn't yet meet agency security standards. In its Monday court filing, the Trump administration included a declaration from the Deputy Director of the U.S. Secret Service saying more work on the side of the former White House East Wing is still needed to meet the agency's safety and security requirements. Wow, this article is real mix-up of several articles. The administration has offered to share classified details with the judge in person without plaintiffs present. The project has prompted criticism in the historic preservation and architectural communities and among Trump's political adversaries. But the lawsuit by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, a privately funded group, is the most tangible effort thus far to alter or stop the 90,000 square foot or 8,361 square meter addition. The lawsuit seeks to block construction until the project goes through comprehensive design reviews, environmental assessments, public comments, and congressional debate and ratification. Trump administration says White House ballroom construction is a matter of national security. Okay, interesting. For that reason, the construction project must continue, the Trump administration said in a court filing Monday. The filing came in response to a lawsuit filed last Friday by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, asking a federal judge to hold the project until it goes through multiple independent reviews and wins approval from Congress. Executive order directs whole of government mobilization against drug traffickers. The order instructs the state and treasury departments to pursue the financial assets of and sanctions on financial institutions and groups involved in fentanyl trafficking. It also calls for greater cooperation between the Pentagon and Justice Department on fentanyl and drug trafficking issues. The order directs the Homeland Security Secretary to identify threat networks related to fentanyl smuggling by using intelligence resources that in the past were devoted to the detection of other weapons of mass destruction. The federal government by law has a wide range of national security and law enforcement capabilities to combat drug smuggling, including asset forfeit, targeted arrests, and surveillance of criminal organizations. The Trump administration's earlier this year designated some drug cartels as terror groups, a move that may unlock more coordination between the armed forces and domestic law enforcement, but has been questioned by legal analysts over its scope and legality. Wisconsin judge allows case against the former Trump aides to proceed to trial. A Wisconsin judge has ruled there is enough evidence to proceed to trial in a felony forgery case against an attorney and an aide to President Donald Trump related to action taken after 2020 election. The judge on Monday at a preliminary hearing found there was a probable cause to proceed with the charges after taking testimony from a special agent with the State Department of Justice who detailed the allegations. The charges relate to attempts by the former aides to present a slate of Republican electors to Congress, falsely claiming that Trump had owned Wisconsin that year. Former Trump attorney Jim Troupis and former Trump aide Mike Roman were in court for the hearing but did not testify. The judge postponed the preliminary hearing for a third person charged, Ken Chesebro, among questions about what comments he made to prosecutors could be attempted in court. Wow, I feel drowsy. Let me go to sleep. Let me take a nap.